Well, hello there, fellow Corvair lovers. This is Mark in Cottonwood, Arizona. And about 4 years ago, I had a customer come to me and say, hey, I'm building this car and I bought all this parts and I've had them all cleaned and machined and I want somebody to put the motor together. So I said, I can do that. So he brought all this stuff over, very nice, clean, machined, just really nice, clean stuff. And so I put this engine together. Well, I took videos of this process 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and they've been just kind of sitting on my hard drive. And so I wanted to get them out and show you guys how I put cylinder heads on Corvair engines, since I do some engine rebuilding. So this is just the segment of installing cylinder heads, and there are other segments that I have yet to put up as far as videos. I got the whole series all the way through. So anyway, this is just doing cylinder heads. So enjoy this video, and obviously if you've got questions or comments about engine rebuilding, I'll put my phone number in the description here so you can give me a call or text me. And once again, as always, get out there and enjoy your Corvair. This is Mark in Cottonwood. I'll see you on the next video. Okay, we're going to briefly talk about cylinder heads here for a little bit. The customer that I'm building this engine for supplied all these parts. So these heads were part of what he brought to me. And he had these sent out to a Corvair specialist that knows how to do cylinder heads. So these have all new valves. You'll notice that one of the spark plugs has the correct insert in it. The person that machined these heads has taken the step out of the cylinder head. Now normally there's about a 40 thousandths step in these cylinder heads where the gasket will ride. That's been machined out. So you'll notice that he's cleaned this up just a little bit. This is to allow clearance between the cylinder and the gasket and the head. So it's important that we understand that if these get machined too far down to clean up that sealing surface, that head gasket sealing surface, many times you have to come back and reduce this as well. The heads look great. I don't see any reason why they won't go on the engine. Everything should torque down just fine. I'm looking forward to this next step. You can see how I'm doing that. I'm getting some oil on my glove and I'm just making sure that that bore's got a little bit of lubrication on it. You don't want to put this in dry. So we've got oil on the cam, oil in the lifter bore, and if preferably a little bit of oil right where the O-rings are going to go. That helps them kind of go in easy, and anything you can help to get a Corvair engine in assemble easy is a good thing. So don't forget to lubricate. It's okay. Just want to take a lifter, get it down in the bore, get it as centered as possible, gently push her in, and make sure that it goes all the way in. So it should definitely go in at least an inch to an inch and a quarter past this point right here. Okay, these are copper head gaskets, and these were supplied by the customer. Basically, what these come in different thicknesses. These are 32 thousandths, And I made sure that the customer understood that the step was gone and that this step that I'm going to recreate is about 32 thousandths high. So he conferred with the builder of the head and said, go ahead and run the 32s. So that's what I'm going to do this morning, is I'm going to put some 32s in these holes here. Now, if they don't stay in snug, I barely expand them. Just a little bit, not much. But I want that to stay in there, because when I put the head on, it's going to be facing down, and that gasket's going to has a tendency to want to come out. So I'm going to have to come back, and let me see if I can get this guy out of here. I can. And then we're just going to barely widen that just a little bit. Just enough to kind of get it to stay in there. Need a little bit more. There we go. And that should keep those in there. So we're ready to go. Next step is to actually place it on the engine. Okay, I'm coming in with my head and I'm looking through these here. I'm lining up all of the studs and hopefully she will slide right on. And I like hearing that nice loud tink. So now what they've done here is they have modified where these head nuts go. So looks like I'm going to either have to use washers or something to gain some of the space, but they cleaned up every one of these places for the nuts to go. So the next step is to get nuts initially on, and then we will start torquing. Now, because they cleaned this area up here, I'm going to try to get some of that distance back. So the customer did provide me with some of these special washers here, and I'm going to place those washers on there. I got them in all 6, and I'm going to come behind and at least get the top ones on. For right now, I just want to get the top head nuts on. Okay, next step. These are push rod O-rings, and these are rocker stud O-rings. These go on the head. This actually will go on these very nice, very nice. Boy, this is just the nicest ones I think I've ever had in my shop. It's so nice. Those are going to go on these push rod tubes. And while I'm here, let's talk a little bit about these rockers. Rockers basically have a nut and a ball and a rocker. And what I do is I always will check this surface right here. If it's got any deep gouges or whatever, then I throw them away. Now, the customer wanted me to use used rocker arm assemblies, and I'm okay with that, as long as they look like they're in pretty decent shape. And these actually look pretty nice. So I'm just going to go through a few of them here. They all look like they've got some pretty good surfaces on them. I look inside, I look at the ball, I look at the rocker itself. I don't see any major damage to any of them, so they look really good. I'm also going to need guide plates. And it's important that the U faces you. If you look on there real close, you'll see a little U. I turn it right side up. That's got to be facing out towards you. Okay, we still got some lifters we got to put in. We got the rest of our head nuts, got our head gaskets for the other side. We've got all our push rods. These are used push rods, but I've inspected them. They look good. Is this the way I would do my engine? Probably not, but this is not an engine that I have to take a lot of credit for because he's supplying me with these used parts, so I'm okay with that. The engine should be fine, though. I don't see any red flags, nothing wrong here whatsoever. This thing should go together and perform beautifully. Next thing I'm going to do here is I am going to put just a little bit of light oil on all of these head holes here where the push rod tubes will go. I just want to make this a little bit moist. This is going to help those brand new O-rings just kind of slide right in. So we got those. Now I've already done the area here on the block. Got that just lightly oiled. It doesn't have to be, you know, gobs and gobs of it. Everything's looking real good. So the next step is to do push rods. Tubes. Okay, so basically the way I do it is this is the head side. You'll notice it has about a 1/4 inch gap. This is the engine side, so I'm going to go through and I'm actually going to take an O-ring and I'm going to actually put it on the end of the push rod tube, and I'm just going to let that set in there. I'll take another one and I will start off with this end. I'll put it through and I will come back with a nice Viton O-ring here, and I'm going to slip that on there, and then I'm going to get those. So I've done 2. I'm going to finish doing the rest and then I'm going to tap them in. Okay, next step here is the smaller of these Viton O-rings. These just go here in the head, and that's going to go around the rocker stud. So we're just going to go through and put these guys in here, and then I'll show you a trick on how to get that tightened up. So we've got all the O-rings on the push rod tubes, all the O-rings here in the head. Next step is to tap these guys in and then put our guide plates on. Okay, so for this next step, I just basically want to make sure that all of these push rod tubes are correctly seated into the block and into the head. This is just a Craftsman 5/8 socket, nothing special. It just goes in the side there, and I just tap them with a rubber mallet. That went in there nice and tight. And that is why I oil this hole right here and the hole where the push rod tube goes into the block. Make that just lightly tacky and those guys just slip right in. Next step is guide plates. Okay, now we're at guide plates, and as I mentioned earlier, you have to make sure that the U is facing you. I don't know if that's why they did that, but they did. So I don't like putting things in together dry. I'm just going to put a very, very light coat of oil on there. And really all I'm trying to do is just get that to go by the O-ring. So I'm helping it out a little bit. I don't want anything to go together dry. Just a little bit of oil there. And get that past the O-ring. And hopefully get it to start. Now, we'll do one more, and then I'll get my drill driver. Just get a little bit to help it go past that O-ring. Yep, all right. Now, what I normally do is I'll take my drill driver. This is a 13/16 that has a kind of a step in it to allow me to push. So I'm going to use my drill driver, and I'm actually going to use these to just get these bottom ones snug. Okay, so the book calls for 32 to 38 pounds of torque on these cylinder studs and nuts. So here is the proper sequence. On the top it's 12, 8, 1, 4, 6, 10, and on the bottom 11, 7, 3, 2, 5, and 9. Once again, 12, 8, 1, 4, 6, 10, 11, 7, 3, 2, 5, 9. Now, what I do on my assembly is instead of going for the 32 pounds right away, I do a two-step process. So I'm going to bring these all to about 15 to 20 pounds. I'm going to do them all. I'm going to go ahead and follow the order. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do my final torquing. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. First reason is, if anything is blatantly loose, if any of these studs are just really bad, they're not in the case well, they'll usually come out at 20. You don't have to take them to 32 to have them come out. It's been my finding that if they don't come out at 20, they won't come out at 35. So that's my first step, is to get the torque wrench set up for about 20 pounds, and then we'll go through and do the order. Okay, so I'm going to place this custom socket, and I don't know where you can get one of those. I don't know, I probably had that thing for 15 or 20 years, I don't know. And we're just going to start, we're just going to go around, and we're going to get these things set to about 20 pounds. And there's 20 pounds. I'm going to come back. And the nice thing is I can leave that on there as a place marker, and then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go around, and this one is pretty loose. Should have got this tighter, but oh well. And we'll bring this guy up. Got 20. And I'm basically just going to go through the whole procedure. So now I've done 1, 2, I'm going to go 3 next, and then I'm going to move this over to 4 and just work my way through at 20 pounds. Okay, next step, we're going to put some push rods in this engine. And there's a couple of tricks that I'd like to show you here real quick. All of these push rods have wear marks on them. These are used push rods, and from what I've seen, they're in pretty decent shape. I don't see any reason why they won't work. And I've used push rods on many engines before. These all have an oiling hole, and I'll try to get that as close as I can. They have an oiling hole, and that needs to be on the outward edge. Just because there's a wear mark here doesn't necessarily mean that whoever built the engine had these facing the right way. So what I do is I put dip a little bit of oil on one end, and I dip a little bit of oil on the other end, and then I will just slide those babies in there. But here's the key, is I want to make sure that it's centered inside the lifter. And I've had them right on the edge of the lifter before. And of course they don't adjust correctly, and they don't even work correctly. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to inspect, make sure the oiling hole is there, do the bottom side, do the top side, and get it in there, and then make sure that it's centered. And I'm going to go through and do the rest of them. Okay, I've got all the rockers loosely in the head, and now I want to take my 3/4 inch wrench. This is an official Ward's Master Quality wrench, and basically I just want to find top dead center. Well, I'm going to look for top dead center here, and I see a sign, and I've got the mark on the pulley right at 0. I can tell I'm at top dead center because both of these throws are all the way out. Real important that I left my cylinder holders attached, because right now some cylinders, if you don't have those on there, it's going to want to try to push those cylinders off of there. I still want that tight until I get to that side and start doing that head. So I've got top dead center on 1 and 2, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to tighten all of the rockers. Get them close, and then we're going to go another rotation, and then we'll tighten them again. Okay, next step is I'm just going to get these rockers close. I'm not going to try to do any final adjustment. I set lifters running. That is the way I was taught to do it. I believe that is the best way to do it. I know people that can set lifters statically, not dynamically. They can get these things close. I've never been able to do that. So I will adjust these, do the final adjustment with the engine running with oil pressure up against the lifters. But until then, I want to get this thing close. So take 23. Okay, so what I have here is a 5/8, the same one that tapped in the push rod tubes, and I'm just going to come in here, and these are tight. These are very tight, so I use an impact driver just to get them close. And I got them close. You see how I'm wiggling that? As soon as I can't wiggle it, I got it close. Okay. Now these two right here, when I go 180 degrees, these are going to loosen up because they're not all the way down. These two have been adjusted, at least they're close. They can wiggle a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my Ward's Master Quality and I'm going to rotate the engine 360 degrees. So I went all the way around, halfway. Now I'm at top dead center on the other cylinders. So I'm going to go back and set those valves and then come back and do it one more time.